more polarizing topic than the one you're witnessing right now. Trevor Lawrence, highly debated quarterback, the chosen one, many labeled him coming out of Clemson as a #1 overall pick. But now it's gotten crazier. He signed a $275 million contract extension with the Jags, and he's tied up with Joe Burrow at $55 million per year. His head coach, Doug Peterson, said on the decision, it was easy. We have all the confidence in the world in Trevor Lawrence. I think, James Jones, Trevor Lawrence will live up to this contract. Reason being is for $55 million, you have to win a Super Bowl. And I can't count out the Jags from winning a Super Bowl because of Trevor Lawrence and Doug Peterson. If you give Doug Peterson a competent quarterback, he will give you an opportunity at a Super Bowl. Family, remember, we're just 2 years away from Trevor Lawrence having come back and beat the Chargers and taking the Kansas City Chiefs down to the wire, one could suggest, at least through 2.5 quarters of really close contact playoff football game. Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I believe he has all of the tools to be a great quarterback. Now, Doug Peterson can turn a good quarterback, Nick Foles, into a great quarterback at least for a moment. He can turn a talented quarterback into an MVP caliber quarterback for a season, Carson Wentz. So what I've seen Doug Peterson be able to do with the likes of Carson Wentz, with the likes of Nick Foles, with the likes of Trevor Lawrence, leads me to believe, James Jones, that Trevor Lawrence can live up to the contract. They got the talent on the roster. Trevor Lawrence has the talent innately, and Doug Peterson is a mad scientist offensively. I think he can live up to the contract, sir. What you say?
Well, what I say is no. But I think you guys are going up, and that's kind of how the NFL is starting to go with contracts. Upside. They're starting to pay off upside, not necessarily your numbers and what you have shown and all that. Some of these dudes that's making this big money, they're saying, man, we think. That's how you started. Man, we think. That's true. You got to turn the tape on. Like, we're sitting here saying a guy in Trevor Lawrence that you can put up Daniel Jones's numbers up there and it's similar. You could put up Gardner Minshew's numbers up there with him and it's similar. When you turn on the tape, it's not like he's making everybody around him better, like he's that type of franchise quarterback, like the Joe Burrow when he came in and took the Cincinnati Bengals to the Super Bowl, then the AFC Championship, made everybody around him better. He has not shown us that on the football field. So to sit here and for us to say that he can deliver a Super Bowl, because $55 million a year and $200 and something plus million, you're telling me that this is the quarterback that you think can do that. But he also has shown us that he can't do that because the numbers are identical to Daniel Jones and Gardner Minshew. And we wouldn't say none of those dudes can take us to no Super Bowl, right? Strictly because we don't think they have the upside of Trevor Lawrence because that's all we're going off of. But what he's shown us on the football field, he hasn't shown us that he's a capable quarterback of taking his team to the Super Bowl. I do not think he's going to live up to the hype of this contract because to live up to the hype, you got to get to a Super Bowl and win that thing because you are sitting at the highest paid quarterback in football right now per year.
When you think about Trevor Lawrence with Doug Peterson, because that's who I combine the coach with the quarterback, right? Nick Foles before Doug Peterson. He was good with Chip Kelly. Again, I told y'all, 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He had good stints. But Nick Foles with Doug Peterson ended up getting an $80 million deal with the Jacksonville Jags because he was a Super Bowl champ. I believe James Jones, Dave Hellman, Jordan Schultz, viewers at home, I believe that with the head coach Doug Peterson, Trevor Lawrence can get it done. He had 30 total touchdowns his first year with Doug Peterson. I think he had 25 total touchdowns his second year with Doug Peterson. I think, Dave, he can get it done with Doug. With Doug.
You could call me Mr. Upside, like that makes James upset, but that's how I feel. I believe in Trevor Lawrence. I'll go as far as to say I know he's going to live up to this contract, but here's the key difference, and I love it. James, I'm sorry.
Because you said you know he's going to live up to the contract.
I do know.
So you saying you know he's going to get this team to a Super Bowl?
Absolutely not. But the key difference here is, like I said, I love y'all and respect y'all. I think y'all have an outdated view of living up to these contracts. Let me put y'all on game for a minute.
He's going to educate us.
There are 14 quarterbacks in the NFL right now, so almost half making $40 or more million a year. Like, these numbers are silly. Like, we're paying guys. That's been the trend.
People.
I won't even. How about this? 14 guys making $40 million or more. 5 of them have reached a Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford and Patrick Mahomes are the only 2 that have won it. So you're talking about almost half the league is making this type of money, and it'll be half soon because Jordan Love, Tua, Dak Prescott, they're all coming down the line. That's the other thing, guys. Trevor Lawrence won't be number 1 probably by the time we kick off in September. He'll be as far down as 3 or 4 by March.
Can I see them dudes?
I don't have the whole list in front of me.
Okay.
But the point is, you're talking about a third of these guys have gotten their teams over the hump. You're not buying a Super Bowl when you pay a quarterback this way. You're buying relevance. That is what a franchise quarterback gives you. Because guess what? Before Trevor Lawrence, you picked number 1 overall in the draft. Since Trevor Lawrence, first of all, you get to the playoffs and win a playoff game. And as disappointing as it was, I'm not trying to let the Jags off the hook for collapsing last year. They were in the race for the AFC 1 seed as late as early December last season. When you have a quarterback like Trevor, you're buying being in the conversation late into the season, and you can't deny that Trevor Lawrence has done that. Again, he's already won a playoff game. He's had them in the mix 2 of his 3 seasons in the league. He's taken a team that picked number 1 overall in back-to-back seasons and made them respectable. The Jags were a joke for almost a decade prior to Trevor, and they are now a team that we take seriously as an NFL franchise. That is what you're buying when you give out a $55 million salary.
But you have to buy him for $55 million?
That's the point.
That's all I'm saying.
Yes, you do. Y'all want to look at the revenue that the NFL is raking in?
No, but
$55 million is a drop in the bucket to this organization.
What I'm saying is, it's other players, though. Like, you know what I mean? So, yes, there's more money to give out. Give it to the other players that have earned that.
Here's
can
my
try if
question,
you
though.
want to.
Are we buying relevance or are we buying hope? Because my thought process is, Schultz, we're buying hope. Trevor Lawrence, unlike Gardner Minshew, he gives you hope that you can win a Super Bowl because you do look at his talent. Gardner Minshew, physically, he's limited. Gardner Minshew, as it pertains to wins and losses, he's limited. I believe Gardner Minshew is a good NFL quarterback who can play 10 to 15 years if he wants to. But when you buy Trevor Lawrence, in my mind, Schultz, you're buying hope. The hope, the promise that one day he can and he will deliver.
Acho, to quote the great Tim Robbins in my favorite movie, Shawshank Redemption, hope is a good thing. Maybe even the best thing. And if you're the Jags, I just had to. I knew. Whenever I quote a movie, I get a look. But what was the alternative to not paying Trevor Lawrence? Because then you're really in a bad position.
Hope costs $55 million.
Well, here's what I'm looking at. $200 million guaranteed. But the other number that's crucial to me is 24. He's only 24 years old. Quarterbacks get better with age typically. And I think Trevor Lawrence, when he came into the NFL, we talked about this whole chosen one thing. He was some kind of Marino Elway hybrid. He's got all the tools, to Acho's point, the size, the physicality, and now he has Doug Peterson another year in his system. I think the weaponry is good enough. They lose Calvin Ridley, but I think the real sleeper here is Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie first-round pick out of LSU. I think he has. I mean, he was overshadowed because of Malik Neighbors, but he is as good as anyone in that draft. His upside is through the roof. He's got size and speed. They have Christian Kirk, who's going to be healthy. Evan Ingram, Gabe Davis, a running game with ETN. And I think that division, although ascending, is still winnable. So I would look at Trevor Lawrence and say the alternative to not paying him was a really, really bad situation for an organization that's been mired in mediocrity and irrelevance for 20 years.
Question is for the Super Bowl champ on the far side of the table, because, James, literally 12 months ago to this day, your view on Trevor Lawrence was vastly different. Yeah. You and Shady McCoy have argued ad nauseum about you believing that Trevor Lawrence is one of those dudes, and Shady McCoy saying Trevor Lawrence is not one of those dudes. Now, on July 11th, 2024, a year later, you've lost some belief in Trevor Lawrence. What was it that occurred over the last 12 months and the 9 months or 8 months of a football season? What was it that occurred that made your opinion change so much? You know all there is to know about quarterbacks, so why the opinion change?
Because I'm just watching the tape, and usually when you're a superstar quarterback, we just talked about Aaron Rodgers, you make everybody around him better. Like, he just brought up Robinson, the draft pick. Right. He ain't better than Calvin Ridley, especially not right now. And he had Calvin Ridley last year, and they did not deliver anything. Since he's came into the National Football League, I was like y'all. Upside, upside, upside. Just wait. Just watch. This dude is going to turn into that. And now I'm going into year 4. Like, I can't sit here and continue to keep saying it. He has not shown us that on the football field. I remember my college coach always told me, because when I stepped on campus at San Jose State, I was the most talented receiver there on the bench. And he was like, you talented, more talented than all these dudes out here, but you super inconsistent. And if you step on this field and you inconsistent, I get fired.
Yeah.
Now, in his situation, God is good to him because he's been super inconsistent and he got $55 million. But I can't keep watching him be super inconsistent and then say, oh, he going to take us to the Super Bowl. Oh, here go $55 million. Oh, here come this man's upside. I can't keep saying that because then we'll be saying that about every single player in the National Football League. Let's just wait on it.